Oh, there it is. Good morning, folks. We're so excited to be with you today for this Sunday edition of College Game Day. I'm Vern Lundquist. Our sideline reporters today are Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis, and joining me later in the studio is Gary Danielson, and we're your game day crew for today. We kick off today's game day coverage by checking in with Kirk and the action in the Garden. Kirk, I know we have some great players in this matchup. Adam, he's a role player, although some say he's worth little more than the dust of the earth. And at his right side, we have Eve. Most folks think she completes him.
Here in the Garden, the coach has allowed a lot of player freestyle in this matchup, but he only has one rule. We have some action here in the center of the Garden. What is that? Is it a snake or a crocodile or a lizard? It's a serpent here entering play, and he seems to be talking to Eve. Oh no, Eve, don't do it. Remember what Coach said. You'll be benched. No, don't.
She did it. She did it. This is huge. This is crazy. She gave it to Adam. This is punishment for sure. I mean, I can't believe what just happened right there. This is what I love about game day. And there's another exciting matchup in Nineveh today. Reese, what's been going on with Jonah and the Fish Slappers?
You won't believe this, Vern. Jonah, the star player from the hometown Fish Slappers, is missing in action. Coach sent him this way 3 days ago from Jerusalem. I've been searching for him. I found a dock boy who told us that he boarded a boat 3 days ago, but purposely got on the boat the wrong direction. He was heading for Tarsus. We all know what nasty storm rolled through this area a few days ago. I later found some sailors from the boat he was on. They said he was thrown overboard. They reported he was swallowed by something. Some say it was a whale, but others swear it was a giant tuna. Anyways, we're all wondering. Wait a minute. What on earth? Could that be? Ew. It's him. Oh me. He just washed up on shore.
This day just keeps getting a little more crazy, guys. Maybe the game of the week will be a little less hectic. But first, a word from our sponsors. Holy water. Is it in you? Not good. I'm now joined by Gary to provide coverage for the main event tonight. Here in Bethlehem, we have a battle for kingship. Let's take a look at the key players in this matchup. From the hometown, we have Herod the Great with his royal court in the front line. The Herods have ruled this area for many years. And visiting the area for the census, we've got the visiting team led by Mary, the Virgin, from Nazareth, and betrothed to be her husband is Joseph.
Okay, wait a minute, Vern. We got a new player coming onto the field.
New additions in the lineup entered this late are rarely a good idea.
I hope Coach knows what he's doing here.
Well, Gare Bear, we'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out. Gare, who is that new player out there?
Let's see, Vern. He's going to be called
Jehuba?
Jesuit.
Jehuba.
Jesus?
Jesus.
It's
oh,
Jesus.
Jesus.
He's
Okay,
Jesus. Okay, Vern, there seems to be another timeout and more substitutions being made.
Different players late in this late in the game. I mean, oh me. These guys, I mean, they look like a couple of wise guys out there, and they have got to be the oldest players on the field. They look to me about 76 years old out there.
76, Vern?
Oh me. I put myself out there. That's crazy. These guys are 26. They're 26.
All right, Coach is going to leave Jesus in the game, and you know, Vern, Jesus came to us from Bethlehem. He will surely be the Savior for this whole group, and probably the world.
Gary, you know, I'm just not sure this is all biblically accurate.
Well, maybe we should all consult our playbook.
You know Jesus is from Bethlehem?
He is, yes.
Bethlehem. That's crazy. Now it looks like the players are getting ready for the post-game press conference. All right, Greg.
I would welcome Adam and Eve to the stage here for a post-game press conference. Eve, I noticed you taking the apple there. Could you describe the apple? Was it a red delicious? Was it a Granny Smith? What?
It wasn't an apple.
It wasn't an apple? What?
It was a piece of fruit.
Just a piece of fruit?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I noticed y'all are wearing clothes now. Could you elaborate on that? You seem to be, we had you censored out earlier. Can you elaborate on why you felt the need to put on some clothes at this time?
We was blind to our nakedness.
Okay. We'll move on from that. Back to Eve. Eve, you seem to have been talking with some sort of creature earlier. What can you describe that creature that you were talking to?
It was a serpent, and it walked, but it had a curse on it that made it crawl at its stomach.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for these two? All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If we could get Jonah. Jonah, if you'll come to the stage now. Jonah, we noticed you've been missing for a few days. Could you just elaborate where you've been for 3 days?
Well, Coach, he told me to go to Nineveh, but, you know, I thought it was just for practice, so I ain't need no practice. I'm good. But, you know, I just didn't want to go to Nineveh, so I went the other way. I went to Tarsus.
Okay. Well, we're just curious as to why you chose to make that decision.
Well, you see, in Nineveh, they do slap people with fish and all that stuff. I'm not about that life. So I was going as far away as I could. That's Tarsus.
Well, you mentioned fish there. You kind of smell like a fish for some reason. I don't know what that's all about. Could you kind of explain your odor to us?
In the storm that God sent while I was on the way to Tarsus, I was on this boat with some pirates. They didn't do nothing at all. So, you know, when the storm came, I was like, y'all, this is my fault. So they threw me overboard to get rid of the storm, and I got swallowed by a big fish.
So a whale, a big fish, a whale?
No, sir. A whale's a mammal. This is a big fish.
Okay. All right. Any further questions for Jonah?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary and Joseph, if we could have you come. What was I gonna ask? This is for either one of you. You gave your son the name of Jesus. Could you explain where neither one of you have that name in your family line? Could you tell us where that name came from?
Well, you see, my wife's just crazy, so I go with what she says. So I'll give it to her and I'll let her explain.
Well, see, like the angels, they kind of told us like what to name him, like in a dream. So I just kind of went with it. Told Bay right here, and he just went with it, and I love him for that. Thanks, man.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Now we know you're from Nazareth, but you traveled all the way down to Bethlehem to have this child. What? Can you tell us why you did that?
Well, we tried to find a hotel to stay in, and we couldn't. And so my wife here said, "Oh, there's one in Bethlehem. Let's go to there." And so we did. They didn't have one, and so we had to stay in the barn.
You stayed at a barn. We're always told it was some sort of a manger scene or something like that. Can you elaborate on the stable area, the barn, the cave? Can you tell us about the conditions that you had to go through on this birth?
Well, the conditions were hard. The odor was horrible, but the birth was the best thing in the world.
All right.
I'm so happy for my baby. I just love him so much.
Thank you. If we could, the wise men that came along and joined you, if you would come. All right. First of all, I see you're called wise men, but I see some women up there. Could you tell us what that's all about?
Well, it was a long trip, so we had to get as many people as we can get, and we lost some people about halfway down. I mean, we're old, we're getting tired. Got to go home, taking out.
Okay. Well, every Christmas play we have every year, there's three of you. There's the We Three Kings that we sing about. There's 5 of you up here on the stage now. I think there was more earlier. Why the disparaging? Why the difference in number?
People just think there are only 3 wise men because we only brought 3 gifts to Jesus.
Why 3 gifts?
See, we went halvesies.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks, wise guys.
Yes.
When did you come? Did you come at the stable when he was born?
No, he was a toddler when we came. No further questions.
All right, if we could bring the coach in at this time. All right, Coach. Your players seem to perform pretty well. Could you just elaborate on how you thought they performed overall?
Well, I felt that they executed the playbook according to the process that we put in place. I thought that all aspects of the game were spot on, and that they all did a real good job. They all come together as a one cohesive unit, and like that's what we try to do each and every week is just accomplish the process, and I think we did a good job of that.
Okay. Is there anything that we as media or fans could do to enhance the experience in participation of all this, of the game here, the game experience?
Well, I'm glad you said that because, during the game, I noticed there was a few people missing out of the stands. I would say the first thing that we need to do is make sure that everybody shows up for the full 60 minutes. I think that, there's specific plans, there's a specific playbook that we're supposed to follow, and that if everybody participates throughout the entire world, all the fans, all the media, comes and participates and partakes in the playbook, then it'll be a much more enjoyable experience for the players, the team, the entire body.
You keep mentioning this playbook. I've heard about a playbook, but I really, people have told me a little bit about it, but I really haven't taken the time to look at the playbook for myself. So can I just rely on what other people say? And, I felt that there were some inconsistencies, what I've been told and what the players performed earlier on the field. How am I supposed to reconcile those differences?
So let me get this straight. You, as the media, are questioning my players and our process that we put in place. Is that what I'm hearing there?
Well, yeah.
So you think that there's inconsistencies in the way we perform. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, I got to tell you, as far as the media goes, I got nothing for you. Okay? You come in here and all I'm hearing is criticism. I'm hearing criticism from my players. You ask me that there's inconsistencies. Inconsistencies. There's a playbook that is laid out for all of us to follow each and every week. But yet you question how do we go about our business. You ask me if there's a way. Well, you know what? There is a playbook. There's a playbook out there for all of us to follow. And for you to question my players, I'm really getting agitated. Okay. You have any more questions that I can just answer for you?
But isn't there a lot of variances that we could, can I just pick and choose which plays that I want to follow?
Hold on. Let me stop. Okay? I can see where this is going. Okay? I'm telling you that there is a process. There is a playbook for us to follow. For each and every person in this world. For my players, for the media, for the fans. There is a playbook that tells exactly what happens. Exactly how we're supposed to go about our daily lives. And then you know what? Forget it. Read the book. Where's the microphone? Okay, so let me tell you kind of how this story came about, how we did this. We actually made that entire thing up. It didn't come off YouTube or anything like that, and Jamie is an excellent, she wrote those lines. She did. Everybody give Jamie a hand, please. You really should write a book one day. But anyway, here's the thing. We were actually speaking, we were, in Sunday school one day, just a regular Sunday school. And the lesson was a lot of these different stories. We were talking about Jonah and Jesus' birth. And basically, I would ask them, for example, how many wise men? Everybody said 3. Well, I said, really? Does it say that in the Bible? And then, so we looked it up, and it doesn't say that. It just says they brought 3 gifts, okay? And then, so, I'm just going along teaching. And then we come up upon the story talking about Jonah. Everybody says, yeah, swallowed by a whale. Really? Does it say whale? No, it doesn't. It says big fish. Well, then, and there's a lot more than just these couple ones we did. There was several. And as we kept going through each story, I could see, teenagers, they tend to drift a little bit sometimes, right? Everybody in agreement. There might be a little conversation over here, some kind of kidding over here. There was a fire was lit. They were getting, dare I say, a little upset, a little mad at me. Because I figure it's because I was telling them they were wrong. But as the lesson progressed and the more fired up they got, every one of them started whooping out Bibles, whooping up their phones and giggling up. We call it giggle. And they were looking the stories up, and they were looking, and they said, "I'll be dang, it doesn't say that." So then the lesson just kept getting better as the day went on, and the fire, you could see it. Every one of them was fired up. Nobody was having a sidebar. Nobody was whooping out their phone. Everybody was talking about the stories. And like I said, as it kept progressing, we kept thinking, it led to more conversations about stories that we weren't even talking about. So we just kept going through. And then towards the end of class, we was like, well, we're going to have a part 2. We're going to have to continue this because we ran out of time. We're going to have to continue this lesson, the following week. Well, in that meantime, then we all started talking. It was like, well, we got to do a youth day. We ought to make this into part of the youth day. And basically, all those skits, and it started out being kind of loosely thing, and then we had the master writer come in and tied all that together with obviously the sports, because that's what all our kids do. And it really started just getting everybody kind of fired up. And the gist of all today is that as kids we're taught this, and we decided, as the teenagers decided, it's probably a lot to do with the fluff in today's society. We got to fluff this up. We got to make it sound all nice and pretty. I mean, was Jesus wearing a loincloth on the cross? No. They didn't crucify people like that. He was naked. I mean, naked. All right? And then all the pictures we've seen growing up of a whale, of the manger, all this stuff has just made it easy. Angels was a big conversation, okay? But angels, they just don't sit around with halos and wings, and, there's no girl angels. You don't understand there's a girl angel, okay? So that's the kind of stuff we started talking about. And essentially the basis of this whole lesson was we're never going to know unless we open the Bible ourselves and read it for ourselves, okay? If you can't understand how to translate it, we got people that can figure it out for you. We got the internet. It's so much easier today. I can tell my 7-year-old to go get her phone and she can look up something. I mean, why can't we be looking up Bible verses, And the whole point is everybody wants to throw out that, this is wrong, that's not the way it happened, but yet they don't know because they haven't read the Bible and said they've just been shown that by the world since they were growing up. So that's the essential gist of this. And like I said, I'm so proud of the youth for putting all this together. They did a fantastic job. And I just, to see how everybody got fired up and wanted to talk about this, it was pretty cool stuff. So appreciate y'all listening. Hope y'all had a good time. Daniel or Jamie, you want to say something? What? Yeah. But Daniel, do you want to say something on this subject? You good? All right. We're going to close with a hymn, and then we'll do the closing stuff. And I know things didn't go as ordered, but sometimes it's good to be out of order, so it's a good, fun day, okay?